She'd like to talk to me.
There you go.
No, over there.
They hear us there?
Yep.
So I tried to say something, it didn't look like they heard.
You need the
You need
microphone.
the microphone.
Okay, let's try.
Не может войти в Zoom.
Идем. Не может войти в Zoom?
И он пишет обновить Zoom. Нажать обновить, сказать ей, нажми обновление.
Да, попробовать. Я не знаю.
You want to look into this camera when you talk to them. That's how it's.
Окей.
So you take a half a step back.
Окей, привет. Ну вот, я теперь вижу вас. Саша Циля с папой, привет. Окей, Аби, come say hi to people on the Zoom. Hi, не вижу пока.
Shalom.
You need to look
Oh, hi. Shalom.
Take a step back where your mom is.
we don't hear them
Yeah, you'll
because
hear
they're
them.
muted.
אני מנסה לראות את עצמי. מה זה אלכס?
Алекс,
כן, וגדע שם
גדע
גם.
איפה אני רואה
מאחורי אלכס.
ידע?
In one mute the audio.
мы сейчас его спросим, где он.
שלום.
They're all muted. They can't talk back because they'll disrupt the ceremony.
Oh, they're all
We have
muted.
them all muted.
You have them all muted. Okay.
Саш, что
There's one way solution.
One-way communication.
But can we unmute them so they can, during speeches or something, when they want to say something? Or maybe now before we started, just to say hi.
Okay, they're unmuted.
Okay.
שלום.
видишь, кому ты
Oh,
говоришь.
and select the language.
Где ты видишь вон там.
אני רואה את עצמי.
А?
אני רואה.
A little complicated, but we'll get there. Well,
כולם. לא? אני רואה עדיין איזה שני אנשים מהכיתה. כן, כן, הם לא הגיעו. לא רואה. מי זאת? מי? מי זאת? מי זאת נטע? שלום.
I don't know, she's so see, she's kissing us back.
מי זאת נטע?
Look at this.
כן, מי זאת?
נטע זאת חבר שלי. I don't think they see us though.
כן, מה את יכולה לדבר איתם?
לא, אבל אל תדברי, תגידי שלום לכל מי ששם, אנחנו רואים אותך. שלום, בינתיים אנחנו לא רואים אותך כאן.
If you talk to them right here, they'll see.
Yeah, but I don't see them from there.
Okay, here, we'll bring them up.
Are they going to show?
Yeah, it's gonna come up here on the screen.
Okay, good. שלום, אני לא כל כך מצליחה גם לראות וגם לדבר, אבל אני חושבת שאתם רואים אותי, אז אני אגיד שלום. תודה שהצטרפתם. אנחנו מתחילים עוד מעט, יש פה עוד כמה אנשים שצריכים להגיע, ונתחיל. הנה לובה, ז'ניה. Привет. Где? Привет. Так вы все там, что ли, в Бершеве, да? Ну, сейчас, הם תכף יהיו פה במסך הגדול, אז נראה יותר טוב מה קורה. וסבתא איפה? המצלמה שלה לא עובדת? אז יש דרך, is there a way to put a gallery so we see everybody?
This is gallery.
This is everybody?
Yeah, they're coming in.
Okay, got it. Марина, привет.
שלום.
אוקיי.
שלום, שלום. אני רואה שסבתא שם. שלום.
This is not, I don't have Yivarech, I think it's Yivarechecha, but it didn't print out right.
Here.
Yeah, no, Yivarechecha.
Yivarechecha.
It just says Yivarech.
Shalom.
Okay. Okay, I think we're ready to start. So, she's not on yet.
Okay. This is Abby. Those who haven't seen her in many years.
Как сделать уманистики?
Я вижу себя у них.
Ну, она...
Ну, все, вы подключились. Вроде да.
Я сказала шалом. Кто там справа? Вот мы видим только 8 физиономий.
Люба с компанией. И вы видели, потом не видела ваши имя.
Наверное. Окей. А что ты мне хочешь? Кому? Я всем сказала.
Кому там есть.
Всем сказано сказать шалом.
Is she on here? We're ready to start. Is she on?
אנחנו רואים את כולם. Сима, как дела?
We're gonna have to start though. Okay.
Привет, беда.
То. Еще немного начнете слушать речи на английском языке.
Хорошо, Борис, Кирилл. Да, я слышу.
Okay. А где Адам? Вот иди сюда, на тебя посмотрим. Какие у меня такие Оп. Я хотела им показать, что я теперь подмышкой не только у Джоша хожу, у тебя тоже.
Yeah. Mark, can we turn the music off here?
У меня теперь второй защитник.
О, Адам какой высоченный. Посмотри.
No, hang on.
שלום.
Шалом.
Мира. Абигаль. Шалом. Привет из Бершевы. Мы все здесь. А ее не слышу.
Сейчас она мьют. Что они наоборот сделали. Они их звук выключили, а нас включили.
Ира, ты без звука сейчас. Нет, это на самом зуме. Ну ладно.
А нас слышно? Слышно.
А вас слышно?
Слышно нас, хорошо.
Не, они не себя включили.
Ее не слышно.
Все уже началось такое.
Наверное. Вон там прям сверху.
Know how hot it is in Israel, but hopefully not. You're in air conditioned. Anyway, welcome everyone to Abby Beigman's Bas Mitzvah. Where is Abby? Where did she go? Okay. Okay. Abby's been through quite a year this year, and she's been quite a trooper and getting through it and coming through, thank God, with shining colors. Baruch Hashem, we are so grateful. And this is a celebration on so many levels. In our lessons in preparation for Abby's bat mitzvah ceremony today, we discussed receiving a full Jewish soul, because what really makes today special, actually, Abby is not 12, she turned 13 about 2 weeks ago. But once she did turn 12 and she became a bat mitzvah, She is now responsible for the mitzvot. But what that really means is that up until this point, up until she was 12, she did not have a complete godly soul. And when she was born, she had a part of her godly soul. And when she received her Hebrew name, Abigail Penina, she had the second part of her godly soul. And at her bat mitzvah, when she turned 12, her Hebrew birthday is actually Tes Sivan. I know because it's the same day as my son's birthday. And when she turned 12, she received her complete godly soul. So once she received her complete godly soul, now she could be responsible for the mitzvot. We could not hold her responsible before because she did not have all the tools that she needed. So today is a celebration of her receiving her full godly soul and thereby now being responsible for the mitzvot. In addition, we talked about that the Torah comes from the word hora'ah in Hebrew. Hora'ah means a lesson. Everything in the Torah is a lesson for us, and it is a guidebook for living. And hopefully, Abby, now that she is a bat mitzvah, can turn to the Torah as her guidebook. For today's program, we are going to have Abby come up, and she's going to recite key prayers from the Siddur or prayer book, which you all have in front of you on your table. And she's going to tell you the page that she's on so you can turn to the appropriate page that she is reading. She's going to read it in Hebrew and translate it and then give us a brief explanation of it. Then she's going to share Divrei Torah or words of Torah, which will include her reading verses from the book of Samuel 1 or Shmuel Aleph from the prophets. We're then going to call up Eyal and Beata to give her a special parent prayer. And then we're going to have some special people come up to give Abby blessings in the cup of blessing ceremony. And then we have two little surprises after that. So without further ado, Abby. Now you say welcome, everybody.
Welcome and thank you all for joining me today in person or virtually to celebrate my bat mitzvah. It is heartwarming to see so many familiar faces with us today at Chabad of the Windsors and additional ones on these screens. Now we'll do the descriptions of the prayer for the bat mitzvah ceremony. The Modani prayer is to be said immediately after a person wakes in the morning. Page 5. מודה אני לפניך, מלך חי וקיים, שהחזרת בי נשמתי וחמלה רבה אמונתך. I offer thanks to you, living and eternal King, for you have mercifully restored my soul within me. Your faithfulness is great. The Elokai prayer describes the gift of the soul that God has given us and returns to us each day. Elohai, neshama shenatata bi, tehora hi, ata berata, ata yetzarta, ata nefachta bi, vata meshamra bekirbi, vata atid letla mimeni, ולהחזירה בי לעתיד לבוא. כל זמן שהנשמה בקרמי, מודה אני לפניך, אדוני אלוהי ואלוהי אבותיי, ריבון כל המעשים, אדון כל הנשמות, ברוך אתה אדוני, המחזיר נשמות לפגרים מתים. My God, the soul which you have given me is pure. You have created it, you have formed it, you have breathed it into me, and you preserve it within me. You will eventually take it from me and restore it within me in the time to come. So long as the soul is within me, I offer thanks to you, Lord my God and God of my fathers, master of all works, Lord of all souls. Blessed are you, Lord, who restores souls to dead bodies. The following blessing is part of the morning prayers, and one should not say any words of Torah until he has said this prayer. Page 8. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך עולם אשר קידשנו בכתב וציוונו על דברי תורה. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who has sanctified us with his commandments and commanded us concerning the words of the Torah. The following blessing affirms that the Jewish people are chosen by God and that the Torah is God's eternal present to the Jews. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who has chosen us among all the nations and given us his Torah. Blessed are you, Lord, who gives the Torah. Page 4. The next verse is from the Torah in Devarim, which is the fifth of the 5 books of the Torah. It describes the gift that God gave to the Jewish people. Torah tziva lanu Moshe, morasha kirat Yaakov. The Torah which Moses commanded us is the heritage of the congregation of Jacob. The next line, accepting to love our fellow man, reminds us of the words of our righteous and wise teacher Hillel. He said, the main teaching of the Torah is to love your fellow as you love yourself. All the rest is commentary on this. Page 12. הריני מקבל עליי מצוות עשה של ואהבת לרעך כמוך. I take upon myself the mitzvah of love your fellow as you love yourself. Our rabbis explain the following prayer of praise of the Jewish people to refer to their tenets of learning and prayer. On a deeper level, the Jewish home reaches its greatest heights when it combines the ideals of learning and prayer, which is a reference to our study halls and synagogues. This beautiful hymn demonstrates our love and awe for the synagogue, where God's presence has dwelled. Now that we no longer have our holy temple in Jerusalem, may we soon merit the rebuilding of God's temple in Jerusalem speedily in our days. מה טובו אוהליך יעקב, משכנותיך ישראל, ואני ברוב חסדך אבוא ביתך. אשתחווה אל היכל קדשך ביראתך, ואני תפילתי לך, אדוני את רצון אלוהים ברוב חסדך, ענני באמת אישך. How goodly are your tents, O Jacob, your dwelling places, O Israel, and I, though your abundant kindness come into your house, I bow towards your holy sanctuary in awe of you. May my prayer to you, Lord, be at the propitious time. God, in your abounding kindness, answer me with your true deliverance. The next prayer is the Shema. The first verse is from the Torah in Devarim and proclaims the Jewish people's belief in one God. The next verse is from the Talmud and is an expression of the Jewish acceptance of God's sovereignty over the universe. The subsequent paragraph, which is also from Devarim, discusses a Jew's mitzvah or obligation to love God and to transmit this love to one's children, as well as the mitzvah to wear tefillin and to place mezuzot on our doors. Both the tefillin and the mezuzot contain the Shema prayer. Page 42. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, and the Lord is one. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Blessed be the name of the glory of his kingdom forever and ever. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברתם בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו תטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you today shall be upon your heart. You shall teach them thoroughly to your children, and you shall speak of them when you sit in your house and when you walk on the road, and when you lie down and when you rise. You shall bind them as a sign upon your hand, and they shall be for a reminder between your eyes. And you shall write them upon your doorposts of your house and upon your gates. Today, I will speak about my namesake Abigail from the Carmel and the biblical story that is written in the book of Shmuel Aleph, where we are told about the future King David's encounter with Abigail and her husband Nabal. ואיש במעון ומעשהו בכרמל, והאיש גדול מאוד ולא צאן, 3,100 עזים, ויהי בגזוז את צאנו בכרמל. ושם האיש נבל, ושם אשתו אביגיל, והאישה טובת שכל ויפת תואר, והאיש קשה ורע ומעללים, והוא כלבו. A certain man in Maon who had property there at Carmel was very wealthy. He had thousands of goats and 3,000 sheep, which he was shearing in Carmel. His name was Nabal, and his wife's name was Abigail. She was an intelligent and beautiful woman, but her husband was surly and mean in his dealings. He was a Calebite. A pastoral depiction of Nabal as a local sheep herder living in the settlement of Maon, working nearby at Carmel, running a successful farm. He hails from a respected family with lineage to Caleb, who was one of the 12 spies who scouted the land of Israel before the Jewish people came into it, and is married to the smart and beautiful Abigail. וישמע דוד במדבר כי גוזז נבל את צאנו. וישלח דוד 10 נערים, ויאמר דוד לנערים, עלו כרמלה ובאתם אל נבל, ושרתם לו בשמי לשלום. ואמרתם, כה לחי ואתה שלום וביתך שלום, וכל אשר לך שלום. ואתה שמעתי כי גוזזים לך אתה הרועים אשר לך. היו עמנו, לא החלמנום ולא נפקד להם מאומה, כל ימי היותם בכרמל. שאל את נעריך ויגידו לך, וימצאו הנערים חן בעיניך, כי אל יום טוב בנו תנה נא את אשר נמצא ידך לבניך ולבנך לדוד. While David was in the wilderness, he heard that Nabal was shearing sheep. So he sent 10 young men and said to them, go up to Nabal at Carmel and greet him in my name. Say to him, long life to you, good health to you and your household, and good health to all that is yours. Now I hear that it is sheep shearing time. When your shepherds were with us, we did not mistreat them, and the whole time they were at Carmel, nothing of theirs was missing. Ask your own servants, and they will tell you. Therefore, be favorable toward my men, since we come at a festive time. Please give your servants and your son David whatever you can find for them. This passage appears to paint a rather bleak image of the future King David as a local warlord running a protection racket, extorting payment from one of his clients. David, sitting in his hideout, hears Nabal has come into money and sends 10 of his men to pay Nabal a visit, asking them to remind Nabal how well his household is doing. Remind him that throughout the time his people were in Carmel with their sheep, and David's men were good to them, meaning taking nothing from them, and now they would like to be compensated for that. When Nabal hears from David's people, he becomes infuriated. ויבואו נערי דוד וידברו אל נבל ככל הדברים האלה, בשם דוד וינוחו. ויען נבל את עבדי דוד ויאמר, מי דוד ומי בן ישי? היום רבו עבדים המתפרצים איש מפני אדוניו. ולקחתי את לחמי ואת מימי ואת טבחתי אשר טבחתי לגוזזי, ונתתי לאנשים אשר לא ידעתי מי זה המה. When David's men arrived, they gave Nabal this message in David's name. Then they waited. Nabal answered David's servants, who is David? Who is the son of Jesse? Many servants are breaking away from their masters these days. Why should I take my bread and water and the meat I have slaughtered for my shearers and give it to men coming from who knows where? In his rage, he asked, who is David? Who is the son of Jesse? Nowadays, every escaped slave is asking for his fair share. Why should I share my hard-earned bread with people coming from who knows where? In his rage, he kicks David's men out. David, upon hearing this, is furious. ויהפכו נערי דוד לדרכם, וישובו ויבואו ויגידו לו ככל הדברים האלה. ויאמר דוד לאנשיו, חיגרו איש את חרבו, ויחגרו איש את חרבו, ויחגור גם דוד את חרבו, ויעלו אחרי דוד 400 איש, ו200 ישבו על הכלים. David's men turned around and went back. When they arrived, they reported every word. David said to his men, each of you strap on your sword. So they did, and David strapped his on as well. About 400 men went up with David, while 200 stayed with the supplies. In response, David gathers and arms his men and goes to pay Nabal a visit. David's anguish is understandable, but is this the behavior we would expect from a future king? Is this the man anointed by the prophet to rule over the people, protect the law, and deliver God's justice? The biblical law speaks of courts, witnesses, and what we think of today as due process. How could a person aspiring to be king ignore the law and seek his own revenge? What is the Bible telling us? It is easy to pass judgment on David when he applied the standards of behavior we live in today, but to seek the wisdom of the Bible, we must understand the context of place, time, and other nuances specific to the setting before passing judgment. A chapter earlier in Shmuel Aleph 23, we are told, David v'anashav b'midbar ma'on be'arba el yamin hayeshimon. David and his men were in the desert of Maon in the Arava, south of Jeshimon. David and his people dwell on the frontier of the kingdom, near the settlement of Maon, on the threshold of the Judean desert, a hostile dry wasteland between the hills of Hebron and the Dead Sea that strips off the garments of civilization and reduces its inhabitants to semi-nomadic life. About David's occupation, we are told in Shmuel Aleph 24, ויגידו לדוד לאמור, הנה פלישתים נלחמים בקהילה והמה ששים את הגרונות. When David was told, look, the Philistines are fighting against Keilah and are looting the threshing floors. It was in the nature of the Judean desert frontier to be a constant place of friction between the agricultural settlements on the frontier and the nomadic tribes living deeper in the desert, as well as the Philistines, which had arrived a century earlier as invaders to the coastal regions of Israel around Gaza and Ashkelon, and were steadily infringing the interior. And this reality of constant pressure on the agricultural settlements, where the central government, namely King Shaul and his administration, did not have the resources to provide protection for the settlements on the frontier. It was quite common for settlements to pay tribute to local warlords in exchange for protections from incursions. Shmuel Aleph 24. וישאל דוד בהשם לאמור, ההלך והכיתי בפלישתים האלה, ואומר השם לדוד, לך והכית בפלישתים, והושעת את קהילה. David inquired of the Lord, saying, shall I go and attack these Philistines? The Lord answered him, go attack the Philistines and save Keilah. These arrangements were common and legitimate under the grace of God. Moreover, as we discovered, the people with David were a group of rejects and outcasts. ויתקבצו עליו כל איש מצוק, וכל איש אשר לא נשא, וכל איש מר נפש, ויהי עליהם לשער, ויהיו עמו כ400 איש. All those who were in distress or debt or disconnected gathered around him, and he became their commander. About 400 men were with him. So for David and his men, tribute was not a luxury or an afterthought. It was about survival. Moreover, Nabal not only refuses to pay David tribute, but goes on to publicly humiliate David, referring to him as an escaped slave, questioning David's legitimacy at large. Understanding the implications of the exchange between Nabal and David's men, one of Nabal's people briefs Abigail about what has happened, attesting to the service that David's men provided earlier and warns of the ramifications. ולאביגיל אשת נבל הגיד נער אחד מהנערים לאמור, הנה שלח דוד מלאכים מהמדבר לברך את אדוננו, ויעט בהם, ואנשים טובים לנו מאוד, ולא החלמנו ולא פקדנו מאומה. כל ימי התהלכנו איתם בהיותנו בשדה. חומה היו עלינו גם לילה גם יומם. כל ימי היותנו עמם רועים הצאן, ואתה דעי וראי מה תעשי, כי קלטה הרעה אל אדוננו ועל כל ביתו, והוא בן בליעל מדבר עליו. One of the servants told Abigail, Nabal's wife, David sent messengers from the wilderness to give our master his greetings, but he hurled insults at them. Yet these men were very good to us. They did not mistreat us, and the whole time we were out in the fields near them, nothing was missing. Night and day they were a wall around us the whole time. We were herding our sheep near them. Now think it over and see what you can do, because disaster is hanging over our master and his whole household. He is such a wicked man that no one can talk to him. When Abigail hears of the events, she at once understands the threat to herself and her household and immediately takes action. ותמהר אביגיל ותיקח 200 לחם ו2 נבלי יין ו5 צאן עשויות ו5 שאים קלי ו100 צימוקים ו200 דבלים ותשם על החמורים. ותאמר לנעריה, עברו לפני הנני אחריכם. באה ולאישה נבל לא הגידה. והיה היא רוכבת על החמור ויורדת בסתר ההר, והנה דוד ואנשיו יורדים לקראתה ותיפגש איתם. Abigail acted quickly. She took 200 loaves of bread, 2 skins of wine, 5 dressed sheep, 5 seahs of roasted grain, 100 cakes of raisins, and 200 cakes of pressed figs, and loaded them on her donkeys. Then she told her servants, "Go on ahead, I'll follow you." But she did not tell her husband Nabal. As she came riding on her donkey into a mountain ravine, there were David and his men descending toward her, and she met them. Commentators suggest she is expecting to meet a large group of hungry and angry men, so the first thing she does is provide them with food. Let them eat something and maybe cool down. She also wants to surprise them in order to have a chance to speak before anyone resorts to violence. ודוד אמר לשקר, שמרתי את כל אשר לזה במדבר, ולא נפקד מכל אשר לא מאומה, וישב לי רעה תחת טובה, כה יעשה אלוהים לאויבי דוד, וכה יוסיף עם אשיר מכל אשר לו, עד אור הבוקר משתין בקיר. David had just said, "It's been useless, all my watching over this fellow's property in the wilderness, so that nothing of his was missing. He has paid me back evil for good. May God deal with David, be it ever so severely, if by morning I shall leave one male of all who belong to him." The great commentator of the Bible, Rashi, explains that is David speaking to himself, venting his frustration. ותראה אביגיל את דוד, ותמהר ותרד מעל החמור, ותיפול לעבי דוד על פניה, ותשתחו ארץ. ותיפול על רגליו, ותאמר, בי אני אדוני העוון, ותדבר נא אמתך באזנך, ושמע את דברי אמתך. When Abigail saw David, she quickly got off her donkey and bowed down before David with her face on the ground. She fell at his feet and said, "Pardon your servant, my lord, and let me speak to you. Hear what your servant has to say." She faces him, makes a gesture of submission and acceptance, taking responsibility for all that has happened, acknowledging David and his men were wronged, and only at that point asks, "Ana yasim adoni et libo al ish הבליעל הזה על נבל, כי כשמו כן הוא, נבל שמו ונבלה עמו, ואני אמתך לא ראיתי את נערי אדוני אשר שלחת. ואתה אדוני חי אדוני וחי נפשך אשר מנעך אדוני מבוא בדמים, והושע ידך לך, ואתה יהיו כנבל אויביך, והמבקשים אל אדוני רעה." Please pay no attention, my lord, to that wicked man Nabal. He is just like his name. His name means fool, and folly goes with him. And as for you, your servant, I did not see the men my lord sent. And now, my lord, as surely as the Lord your God lives as you live, since the Lord has kept you from bloodshed and from avenging yourself with your own hands, may your enemies who are intent on harming my lord be like Nabal. Abigail's next step is to belittle her husband Nabal while distancing herself from his actions. According to Rashi, she thanks God for sending her David and preventing him from unnecessary bloodshed. ועתה הברכה הזאת אשר הביא שפחתך לאדוני וניתנה לנערים המתהלכים ברגלי אדוני. שנה לפשע אמתך, כי יעשה אדוני לאדוני בית נאמן, כי מלחמות אדוני נלחם, ורעה לא תמצא בך מימיך. ויקם אדם לרדופך ולבקש את נפשך, והייתה נפש אדוני צרורה, בצרור החיים את אדוני אלוהיך ואת נפש אויביך יקלענה, בתוך כף הקלה. And let this gift which your servant has brought to my Lord be given to the men who follow you. Please forgive your servant's presumption. The Lord your God will certainly make a lasting dynasty for my Lord, because you fight the Lord's battles, and no wrongdoing will be found in you as long as you live, even though someone is pursuing you to take your life. The life of my Lord will be bound securely to the bundle of the living by the Lord your God, but the lives of your enemies he will hurl away as from the pocket of a sling. Abigail then goes on paying tribute to David and his men. She asks forgiveness for her misdoings, and Rashi explains that Abigail is persuading David not to tarnish his name because he will become the future king. She blesses David to be written in the book of life while wishing his persecutors fall to their own enemies. Up to this point, Abigail is managing a crisis, soothing an angry David with food and tribute, speaking the language of appeasement and submission, with no mention of justice, courts, or due process. She is speaking to a person who has been wronged, not a future king. And then in the next section, she makes a dramatic shift, moving from appeasement to guidance. והיה כי יעשה אדוני לאדוני ככל אשר דיבר את הטובה עליך וציווך לנגיד על ישראל, ולא תהיה זאת לך לפוגע ולמכשול לב לאדוני ולשפך דם חינם. When the Lord has fulfilled for my Lord every good thing he promised concerning him and has appointed him ruler over Israel, my Lord will not have on his conscience a staggering burden of needless bloodshed or having avenged himself. In the future, if God does all that he has been said and seats you on the crown, don't let unwarranted bloodshed be a barrier or an obstacle to your monarchy. But why would this be a barrier? We already saw that by all means, David and his people had been wronged, and Abigail acknowledges the wrongdoing. Nabal by all means comes out as stingy, disrespectful, and foolish, but it is not up to David to avenge his humiliation with his own hands, and this is why biblical law has a notion of due process that applies to all. A process that calls for a court with evidence, witnesses, and procedures. The only case where a king has the authority to circumvent due process is in the case of rebellion against the crown. So why does David choose to ignore God's law and seek to avenge his own insult? As we know, David has already been secretly anointed by Shmuel as king, and Abigail, being a prophetess, is aware of this, and yet she draws a deep line in the sand, putting David in his place and telling him, "You are not yet king, you do not have the authority to call a rebellion to the crown." The Babylonian Talmud in the section of Megillah 14 brings a discussion between David and Abigail, which tells us that Nabal, your husband, is a rebel against the throne, as David had already been anointed as the king by the prophet Shmuel, and Nabal refuses his orders, and therefore there is no need to try him, as a rebel is not accorded the ordinary presumptions governing judicial proceedings. Abigail said to him, "You lack the authority to act in this manner. As Shaul is still alive, he is the king in actual practice, and your coin has not yet spread across the world. Your kingship is not yet known to all, therefore you are not authorized to try someone for rebelling against the monarchy." The Talmud tells us that David justifies his behavior by claiming that he is the king, he has the right to levy taxes, and that Nabal's refusal to pay tribute is a rebellion against the crown, as such may be treated with due process. Abigail, in response, tells him firmly that he is not yet king, Shaul is still alive, and you had not yet issued a coin in the world. The great Torah sage, the Rambam, tells us that in referencing a coin, Abigail is alluding to a coin issuance as basic manifestation of sovereignty, and the people's acceptance of a coin is acceptance of a sovereign. ויאמר דוד לאביגיל, ברוך אדוני אלוהי ישראל, אשר שלחך היום הזה לקראתי, וברוך טעמך וברוכה את אשר קליטיני היום הזה, מבוא בדמים והושע ידי לי, ועולם חי אדוני אלוהי ישראל, אשר מנעני מהרע אותך, כי לולי מיהרת וטבעתי לקראתי, כי אם נותר לנבל עד אור הבוקר משתין בקיר, ויקח דוד מידה את אשר הביאה לו, ולה אמר, עלי לשלום לביתך, ראי שמעתי בקולך ועשה פנייך. David said to Abigail, praise the Lord, the God of Israel, who has sent you today to meet me. May you be blessed for your good judgment and for keeping me from bloodshed this day and from avenging myself with my own hands. Otherwise, as surely as the Lord, the God of Israel, lives, who has kept me from harming you, if you had not come quickly to meet you, not one male belonging to Nabal would have been left alive by daybreak. Then David accepted from her hand what she had brought him and said, go home in peace. I have heard your words and granted your request. Abigail is laying out the social contract between the sovereign and his subjects. David, in response, accepts Abigail's proposition, endorses it, and praises God for sending Abigail and delivering him from his own deeds. He goes on to tell her to go back to your home and in almost submissive language tells her, see here, I will do as you had told me. It is at this moment when David has the courage to submit to Abigail's wisdom, we see a king born and a dynasty founded. The story of Abigail tells us that if we find ourselves in a difficult situation, we must think ahead and understand the bigger picture before taking action. Abigail fixed the immediate problem of David coming to attack Nabal and stopping him from bloodshed, and in addition, she also avoided problems that could happen in the future by telling David that he is not yet king and that he doesn't have the right to pass judgment on others before he is king. Abigail, in her great wisdom, teaches us that not only is it important to solve the immediate problem, but have foresight as well and prevent future problems from rising. The end.
Okay, that was pretty amazing and quite a discourse about the great prophetess Abigail, and may this Abigail Penina grow up to be similar to that Abigail and have foresight in everything she does. And we are very, very proud of her. So at this point, we are going to call up Eyal and Beata, who are going to give a special parents' prayer to Abby. Okay.
ישמח אלוהים כשרה רבקה רחל ולאה, ויברך אדוני וישמרך, יאר אדוני פניו אלייך ויחננייך, יישא אדוני פניו אלייך וישם לך שלום.
Okay.
Make you like Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah. May the Holy One bless you and keep you. May the Holy One shine light upon you and be gracious to you. May the Holy One turn towards you and give you peace.
Amen. Okay, stay here. Oops. Okay. At this point, we are going to start the cup of blessing ceremony, where key people in Abigail's life will share blessings or thoughts or a short thought, and pour a little bit of this grape juice into the cup. There's 14 cups because Abigail just turned 13, so she's actually in her 14th year. And then she's going to make the Borei Peri Hagafen prayer on it and drink it up. The first one who's going to pour it in as a bat mitzvah today and start us off is going to be Abby.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and now Eyal. Yeah.
Dear Abby, you were born over 13 years ago. We gave you two names, Abigail and Pnina. The later name, Pnina, is in honor of my grandmother, a person that I was close to and did much to make me the person I am today. We initially considered the name Tina to be your first name, but it was a name that had been out of fashion for many years and named with a biblical heroine, which is found less inspiring. We chose Abigail because of the biblical story you had just told us, because the persona in the stories were closer to the kind of people my grandmother and her family were. But what kind of people were Abigail, her husband Nabal, and the future King David and his motley crew of people told on in his motley crew? Samuel 1:24 tells us, David ואנשיו במדבר מעון בערבה אל ימין ישמעון. David and his men were in the desert of Maon in the Arava south of Jeshimon. So Maon, the same Maon where both David and his men, as well as Nabal and Abigail, dwell in the Arava south of Jeshimon. The English translation for the verse of this verse describes Jeshimon as an actual place. But if we look at the Hebrew dictionary, we see that it is actually a word describing a dry and lifeless desert as prevalent in the region between and around the Dead Sea. In this place of solitude and dissolution, the Bible tells us is the birthplace of the Davidic dynasty. It's a place of the frontier of an expanding nation, a place that strips the garments of civilization. This quote was originally used to describe the settlers and pioneers of the American frontier. People from Europe that came to America seeking land and freedom and settling in the ever-expanding frontier. The harsh realities along this frontier compelled them to leave behind much of their previous habits and customs and transform them. This description may well fit David, Nabal, and Abigail. David coming from Bethlehem and adopting a semi-nomadic life to survive the persecution of King Saul, and Nabal and Abigail that built a farm on the brink of the desert, and it also fits the story of my grandmother and her family. My grandmother family originally from the township of Lowicz, somewhere between Lodz and Warsaw in Poland, left behind a middle-class life in Poland in the early 1930s and emigrated to Israel. Parents, 7 brothers and 3 sisters, and decided to settle in the Jezreel Valley. My grandmother decided early in life that the valley may be a bit too much for her in frontier and pioneering life and moves to Tel Aviv. And yet all the siblings that moved to Israel stay there for the rest of their lives. My grandmother was only half transformed. She spoke Hebrew, but always kept a warm place in her heart for Yiddish culture and Yiddish discussion. And yet she never taught the language to any of her children or grandchildren. And the train goes on. In the next chapter, they will mention also that King David spent some of his time in En-Gedi. My father, rest in peace, his name was David, and he spent 3 years of his life in En-Gedi as a pioneer in the kibbutz there. And nowadays we have my son Josh, who's here, who just came back from a big drill in near the ancient city of Lachish, was another frontier point of the Judea kingdom at ancient times. For me, and one thing I want to say is, for me, in my time, the days of the pioneers of the Chulutzim were over. I never experienced the kind of life of uncertainty and fear that, you live in this place. But I have, in one moment of my life, I had the gist of this fear, and that was like half a year ago when Abby was at the hospital. And you have a feeling of suddenly that you lose the certainty. You don't know, what will happen the next day, what is going to go with Abby when she comes out of this. I mean, what kind of Abby we will have. And this for a moment gave me, a feel of the fear and the uncertainty that these people live. So I mean, I bless you, and I wish you the courage of the people of the frontier, like Abigail in the Bible. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, Beata.
All right. I would like to start with a quote from an interview from the author of a famous book. And it's a bit of a riddle because I will be asking you to tell me who is being quoted and what book. So in the key moment that would have been a giveaway, I will just say Zen, and then we'll see if you can tell me who this is. Okay, beginning of the quote. If my book has a central theme, I suppose it is the theme of survival. What quality is it that makes some people able to survive catastrophes and others, apparently just as brave and able and strong, go under? I have always been interested in this particular quality in people. I only know that the survivors of Zheng used to call that quality gumption. End of quote. Okay, so gumption is a little bit of a rare word here. So what does it mean? Dictionary definition of gumption is shrewd or spirited initiative and resourcefulness. So this book is not about Abigail of Carmel that we just heard about from Abby. It is about another woman. But there is little doubt that the Bible has shown Abigail in a moment of gumption, shrewd and spirited initiative and resourcefulness to deal with a catastrophe, a pending catastrophe. All right, any guesses who the interview is with and which book we're talking about here? People here or on Zoom, if you have any ideas. If not, I will start giving clues. No, thank you, but that's not it. So what book and who is the author? All right, I'm going to give you one clue. The interview has taken place in the year of 1936, when the book just came out. Does that help anyone? All right, last clue, the Zheng, the catastrophe we're talking about from the book, is the Civil War in the United States. So yes.
I think the book is Little Women.
Little Women, that's a good guess in terms of the
period.
period, but that's not the book. Close, yeah, well, yeah, so it was written in 1936. The interview with the author is taking place then, and it is a story centered on a woman with gumption. No?
That's a good guess.
Yes. All right, we got it. Okay, so this was a quote from an interview with Margaret Mitchell about her book, Gone with the Wind. And that person with gumption is her heroine, Scarlett O'Hara. We just watched this movie together a week or so ago in 3 installments. It's a long movie. And as I was watching, I was thinking that being smart and beautiful, as Abigail is described in the Bible, and as certainly Scarlett was too, is not enough to explain this shrewd, spirited, creative, resourceful way of dealing with a threat to their own survival and that of their people. So what called forth this gumption in these women? And I think this, the basis for this ability to harness the gut and the head at the same time to meet a threat is a huge appetite for life that both these women shared. And I think my Abigail has the making of it, of this great appetite for life, the attitude of there is a lot to life and I want it and I will take it and I will hold it. So the Bible only shows us a really small piece of Abigail's life that is focused on this moment of crisis. we're really not told what else is happening in the rest of her life when there's peace. We know that she became one of the wives of King David, but that's about all we know. So we don't really know how this gumption of hers serves her outside of the catastrophic moment. Actually, with Scarlett also, the bulk of the story shows her living through one catastrophe after another. And even at peacetime, even if the civil war is over, she loses her daughter, she loses her friend, her husband leaves her. So it's really nearly unmitigated sequence of disasters that she's living through. And although we do see her become a businesswoman, it still sort of feels like a response to disaster. And even with my Abby, with all her 13 years, the experience of dealing with a survival crisis is something that very readily comes to mind to exemplify a character. But let us move away from a crisis and consider how this appetite for life might serve you in times of peace and calm and normal life, which I hope you will have, not a sequence of survival crisis. So how does it help you have a happy life? Here's what I think. I think it helps you make good choices that build and sustain your happiness. And to make good choices, what do you need? You need to explore possibilities in an effective way. So the first ingredient of an exploration is curiosity, which you do have a lot of. So you're asking yourself, how would it feel to experience this or that? What is the movement of a gymnast or a swimmer or of a ballerina or of a skater? How would it feel to be a member of a team, swimming team, a softball team? Abby tried them all. What would it look like to combine fabric and paper, beads and wood, shells and thread, manga and fashion design? Well, every time Miss Julie puts a new workshop out, Abby is there. So she loves experimenting with materials and designs. And Abby is also a foodie, so she's always the one who is picking the most unusual dish on the menu just to see what it would taste like. So that was curiosity. Now, the second ingredient on effective exploration, I think, is patience. It would not do to be in a hurry to move on without having given the current idea a good try. But I think you gave each activity that you were curious about at least a season. This way, you have not only a decision, I like it or I don't like it, but you also have insight, what part of it you did or did not like. So you going for synchronized artistic swimming last year was not a random next try. You did know already from prior trials that you do like swimming, that you do like being part of a team, and you do like the elegance and grace of a dance or gymnastics routine. So there we are. You're patient enough to experience in full everything that you are trying and learn about yourself and find the piece that works. And so you build your happiness one brick at a time. Or the third ingredient of a good exploration is determination. And it's even not so much the fact that, you keep looking, even if you haven't yet found the right thing in something. I think curiosity covers that. The more important part that requires determination, I think, is that once you hit on something that you do like, you recognize it for what it is, and you appreciate it, and you do not let go. It is the I will hold part of the appetite. You were told after the surgery that it is going to be 6 weeks out of the pool. After the 6 weeks out of the pool, you still had things sticking out of you, so it was at least 2 more weeks. After 8 weeks, the doctors were okay with you going, but you said you did not feel strong enough. I started thinking that maybe you decided to let it go. But no, it took 2 more weeks and then you decided it is time. I don't think you missed a practice since. So with a deep gratitude to your coaches and teammates, you made it to the competition with the team last month. So you, my Abby, already have made some good choices, and I wish you many more. I hope they are not forced on you in crisis situations, though I think you'll make the best of these too, just like your namesake. Your appetite for life has been wonderful to behold, and I can't wait to see where your curiosity, patience, and determination will take you next.
Beautiful.
Okay, now we're gonna have Abby's grandmother, Baba, come up.
שלום לכבוד הרב ורבנית, שלום לכולם. אני מכירה מקום הזה די טוב. כי התחלתי פה לפני 7 שנים, בבר מצווה של בן הבכור, ישוע. אז הוא אמר לנו שהבר מצווה בגיל 13, לא סתם 13 שבחרו, זה הגיל של בני ישראל, יכולים לשאת נשק ולהגן על המשפחה ועל כל העם שלנו. ונכון להיום, ישוע מגן שלנו, בפועל, לא במילים. יש לי עוד הגנה לשונית, כי יש לי מתורגמן, שהולך לעשות עכשיו הקלה לכולם, להבין מה שאני אמרתי באנגלית. אוקיי, הוא ביקש שורה ושורה, אני חוזרת. בסדר, תגיד מה שאתה הבנת, זה בסדר.
Good morning to the synagogue and good morning to everyone. 7 years ago, when Josh was doing his bar mitzvah, he stated the reason as to why the age is for the bar mitzvah is 13. It is because that during ancient times, that is when you were officially allowed to take up arms for your country. Today, Josh is literally defending his country and us.
בחור. ולפני 2 אדם הוכיח בעולם הזה שאי אפשר לדחות את הבר מצווה אפילו אם אנחנו נמצאים בעוצר של הקורונה או מסיבה אחרת. ואז התחלנו ללמוד מה זה בר מצווה בזום, מה זה בכלל חיים בזום. ומאז יש לנו שם משפחה גדולה שיכולה לראות ולשמוע איך זה הולך. אדם היה הראשון אצלנו במשפחה שנכנס לבר מצווה בזום.
2 years ago, when Adam did his bar mitzvah.
You're Adam.
Yeah. When I did my bar mitzvah, I proved that no matter how dire the circumstances, the show must go on. And through the struggles of COVID, we adapted and learned how to do the Zoom.
כן, למדנו. והיום אנחנו הגענו לבר מצווה של נסיכת המשפחה, בשמה אביגיל.
Today we're at the bar mitzvah of the princess of the family, Abigail.
היא ציטטה עכשיו מהתנ"ך שהשם אביגיל זה שם של אישה שהיא טובת שכל ויפת מראה. תואר. ואני יכולה להגיד שזה לא רק זה, כי אביגיל הוכיחה השנה שהיא גם חזקה מאוד, סבלנית מאוד, וגם עקשנית.
Abby quoted from the Bible of the original Abby, who was intelligent and beautiful. This is a great way to describe our Abby. But this past year, we've also learned that she can be strong-hearted and very brave.
השנה המשפחה עברה תקופה מאוד קשה, שהייתה קשורה לסכנת חייה של אביגיל, וקיבלנו תמיכה מכל הכיוונים, מהקהילה היהודית ומהבית הספר, מהמורים והחברים שלה, מהטים שלה, מהשכנים שלה, ואנחנו אומרים תודה רבה לכולם. זה דבר אחד. דבר השני שאני רוצה להגיד, שבסוף קרה נס בימי החנוכה, ממש, שרופאים הצליחו, ואביגיל חזרה לחיים רגילים, גם ללימודים עם הציונים גבוהים, גם לשחייה אמנותית שהיא כל כך אוהבת, ואפילו הספיקה להיות בתחרות.
This past year, Abby was very sick, and we were very concerned for her and her health. But during Hanukkah, a miracle happened, and Abby was recovered from her sickness. When Abby came back, we weren't really sure how she would be, but Abby came back more fiery than ever. Her grades were better than they were before, and she even managed to come back to swimming and compete in districts. Thank you.
כן, thank you. השנה המשפחה עומדת מול צד מאוד חשוב, חזרה ארצה, ואבי, אני מאחלת לך מעבר חלק ומוצלח בכל המובנים, שתהיה בריאה, תהיה יפה, ותהיה מאושרת, כי האושר שלך זה האושר שלנו.
Today, soon we're moving back to Israel, and I wish you a safe, happy, and smooth transition, and that you will be happy and successful.
אבי, אני מאוד אוהבת אותך. אני שמחה מאוד להיות פה יחד איתך ביום הזה, ולדעת שממש השנה את תהיה קרובה לבבא ודדה, לסבא וסבתא, ואני לא צריכה לטוס 12 שעות, יהיה לי מספיק 12 דקות נסיעה, בשביל לראות אותך כל יום.
Abby, I love you very much, and soon you will not have to fly 12 hours just to see me. Instead, you can drive 12 minutes to see.
Okay, we have a Safta on Zoom. Safta on Zoom, can you hear us? Can she hear us?
That's on the corner there. She says yes.
She says yes. We can't hear. Can she talk?
She's muted.
Oh, she's muted. Can we unmute? Can we unmute them? Can we unmute someone? Is she unmuted? If you want, put your chair right here. Bring the chair over here.
Okay? Do you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. אביגיל היקרה, את הנכדה הבכורה שלי, את גדלת וצמחת לנערה יפה וחכמה. כמו הרבה סבתות בעידן החדש, כל זה קרה רחוק ממני, בקצה האחר של העולם, אני בישראל ואת בארצות הברית. בביקורים הקצרים בחופשת הקיץ, למדת ממני ומרובן להעריך את הדברים הבסיסיים של החיים, כמו לאהוב לאכול, להכין את האוכל, לתת אהבה ולקבל אהבה. את היית שולחת לי מתנות יום הולדת, מעשי ידייך, ציורים נפלאים וכלי קרמיקה. ביקשת ללמוד ולהכין את התבשילים שעשיתי ושל רובן, ושאני למדתי אותם מאמי וסבתי. ריגשת אותי מאוד לאחר האובדן של רובן, בזה שבחרת להזכירו על ידי הכנת פטייר לארוחת בוקר, בצק מטוגן עם סוכר שהוא היה מכין לכם כשהייתם בביקורים אצלנו. ואת זה את הכנת עם אדם ושלחת תמונות. אני מאחלת לך היום שתהיי בריאה וחזקה, ואני סומכת עלייך שתוכלי לנווט את חייך בדרכים טובות. יש לך דוגמה נפלאה מאמא, מדודה, משתי סבתות, ואני מאחלת לך הפעם בלדינו, לא מהצד של היידיש, אלא מהצד של הלדינו, מזליקו קלארו, שזה מזל בהיר כשמש. אני מנשקת אותך ומחבקת אותך, סבתא חיה, אוהבת אותך מאוד.
You're coming next. Can you translate what she said? Yeah. No, you can't. Oh, you didn't follow. Do you want to translate what your mom said? No. Okay, okay. We don't want to get anything lost in translation. Abby, got it? Okay, and I'm gonna pour in for the safta now.
Okay, so I'm going to start in Hebrew, and I'm going to translate it after I finish. אביגיל יקרה, ברכות להגיעך לגיל המצוות. זה כמעט סימבולי במהלך השנה שבו את מילדה נהיית נערה וצומחת לאישה, את גם יוצאת למסע, חוצה מדינות, שפות ואוקיינוסים. אבל אני בטוחה שאת קטן עלייך. אני נזכרת בבת מצווה שלי הייתה, בערך לפני 20 שנה. ואיך הרגשתי אז. זה אחד הימים שלוו אותך לנצח. בכל גיל את תזכרי ותאריכי חוויה אחרת שהייתה לך ביום המיוחד הזה. ממרום גילי אני מנסה לחשוב על עצמי אז והיום. עולה בי איזושהי תובנה, לקח, מוסר, משמעות, שיוכל להעניק לתרמיל החוויות שלך אביגיל, מדודה לאחיינית. אבל כשאני חושבת רק עלייך אביגיל, את מזכירה לי בעצם כמה את יפה, חכמה, חזקה, וממש לא פריירית קטנה. יהושע, אדם ומיכה מאתגרים אותך יום יום עם ההצקות שלהם. אולי הם לא מודעים עדיין, אבל הם בעצם מחשלים אותך. וזאת ההכנה הטובה ביותר לחיים. תמשיכי להיות בדיוק מי שאת. ובתור דודה תזונאית, בכל זאת יש לי משהו קטן להציע לך, לחיים. תמשיכי להכין את האוכל למשפחתך ולך. תבשילים ביתיים ייתנו לך עוגן בחיים, ויחזירו אותך תמיד הביתה בכל מקום שבו תהיי. בהזדמנות זאת, אני רוצה לאחל למשפחתך, או איך שאייל אומר, אייל בקו, לביאטה, אייל, יהושע, אדם, אביגיל ומיכה, מעבר קל לישראל. אנחנו נתגעגע מאוד מאוד ונבוא לבקר. אוהבת, הדודה גליה. That's in Hebrew. Okay, so I'm gonna try to translate it. Congratulations for getting to this age of mitzvah. It's almost symbol that during this year you're turning from a child to a teen and growing up to be a woman. You're also gonna start a journey crossing countries, languages, and oceans. But I know that you're gonna manage. I remember my bat mitzvah, what happened like 20 years ago, and how did I feel. This is one of the most memorable days of your life. Each time in your life, you're gonna remember different experience that you had in this special day. From my age, I'm trying to think about myself now and then. Maybe I will have some wisdom, a lesson, a moral with significance, so I can share and give you, Abigail, to your experience of life, from an to a need. But then when I'm thinking only about you, Abigail, you remind me that you are smart, beautiful, strong, and not somebody that's easy to fool. Josh, Adam, and Micah, every day challenging you with their pissing. Or maybe they are not aware yet, but they actually make you stronger. And that's one of the best ways to be ready for life. Continue to be exactly who you are. as a nutritionist aunt, I still have a small advice for you. Continue to cook for your family and for you. Homemade food will always gonna give you a strong hook in your life and always gonna bring you home no matter where you are. And I will take this opportunity to wish Eyal and his family, Beata, Yoshua, Adam, Micah, and you, Abigail, a smooth transition to Israel. I will miss you a lot. Love you, Aunt Galia.
Okay, Shoshana.
Abby has one cousin, and that cousin is me, Shoshana. Abby loves it when I visit her, mostly because we get along very well and we do fun things together. I remember when we went to Six Flags and she made me go on the Batman ride with her. I reluctantly went on with her and it wasn't that bad, although the ride went upside down 2 or 3 times and my head hurt for the rest of the day. Thanks, Abby. We also like to play games with Abby's little brother, Micah. Usually it's a game where Abby is the queen and I'm the princess and Micah's some sort of bad guy. And I actually enjoy these games very much. I usually visit her 2 or 3 times a year, but that is soon going to turn into once a year because Abby's moving to Israel. A 3-hour drive from Maryland to New Jersey will turn into a 10 to 12-hour flight from Maryland to Israel. Luckily, I have Abby's Gmail account so that we can email each other. This is the last time I see Abby in New Jersey, but I might go to Israel this summer, so I might see her again. I am very happy to be in Abby's bat mitzvah today.
Now we have everyone was special, but this is a very special person because he came all the way from Israel and he's going back tonight, I think, or tomorrow. And he just came like on Friday, and that is Josh.
As Abby, I just want to say that, a lot of things have changed in the past year, and they're going to keep changing. But no matter how far apart we are, where everyone is, your brother and I will always be there for you.
Yeah. Okay, Adam.
Dear Abigail, even though I've always called you short, you have grown so much over the years. You have always been kind and passionate to everyone around you. Having you in the house is almost like having a third parent. You do your part in providing food for the family with your delicious recipes, and you help break up wrestling matches between Micah and me. Sometimes you seem so mature and grown up that it's hard to believe that you're only 13. When you go out in the world, I have no doubt that you will excel in everything you do, whether it be swimming, art, dance, cooking, or the many other activities that you do. Just know that I will always be there to help you, although it is more likely that I'll need your help.
Micah.
This is a short translation that Abby, have a great bat mitzvah and have fun for your rest of your life.
Wait, Micah. Okay, Rabbi Leverton.
Shalom Aleichem Kulam Ba'aretz. Mazal Tov to Abby and to the whole family, Yal, Beata, and to all our beautiful guests, family and friends. In our wonderful world, there are billions of interesting human beings. And amongst all of humanity, there is a tiny people called the Jewish people, an ancient people. And that people had a rendezvous with the Almighty on a mountain some 3,335 years ago. We have the exact date, we have the exact words, and we have the exact Brit contract that we entered into. Unfortunately, as is understandable, through the duration of millennia, much gets forgotten, much becomes confusing, and much becomes diluted. But Abby, your dear parents have raised you with those values of our Torah, its mitzvahs, and to be connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu through the Brit, the covenant that we entered into that is still so strong. And I say this with all the sincerity of the responsibility that now you carry for the generation that will follow. But your parents have invested in you, your family, your savta, and the whole mishpacha has invested in you all the love, all the care, all the wisdom, all the knowledge. And you now put your own unique twist on the life that you will live, carrying those values, carrying those traditions, and making sure that the Mitzvah continues, and it will continue. And we stand here today in a confusing world, much darkness, hard to see the light. But when we come together on an occasion like this, you warm our hearts because we feel so confident that there will be an atid, and it is strong in your hands for the generations ahead. Because of the confidence you had in your learning and in your mannerisms and in your courage and so much else that you have shared with us today. So we wish you that you should go like the Abigail you are, with all the kochot of the Miriam, Tzipporah, all the great people, all the great women that come through all of our Torah, all of those you have, a nitzut, one spark in you. And you can carry that forward to the generation ahead to ensure that truly, truly, it will be a case of Am Yisrael Chai. Mazal tov to you. We're going to have a massive party after all these drushes, because this is the speeches that we've enjoyed, but also the party to follow. So go and continue to give nachat to savtas and to your parents and to all your brothers and siblings forever. And we will truly celebrate together. And we wish to just to tell you that although you're going very soon to Eretz Yisrael, my wife and I intend to follow right after you, right after you. A little bit of a twist. We met in the airport. We don't intend to buy our tickets. We intend to go with Mashiach Tzidkenu, which will be a different flight, but maybe we'll meet on the same flight together. L'chaim, mazal tov to everybody, and l'chaim for good times ahead. Amen.
Okay, so we have 3 cups of blessings left. If anyone would like to come up, but I have to say, you have to be 30 seconds or less because we have to wrap up the ceremony. So would anyone else like to wish anything to Abby? You already went, like anybody? Would you like to, any of your classmates? You don't have to. You want, here, we got one.
I want to say Mazal Tov. Congratulations. I don't really know you that well, but I think that I've known of you for a long time. It's been really like it's been very like good to see you grow up, like a little kid that you used to be to like now, like as your bar mitzvah, like finally accepting responsibilities of the Torah. Yeah, I'd say congratulations.
Thank you. Mazel tov. Wait, here.
We're in here. Just
Do we have one of her teachers?
can
Yeah,
have
no, it's okay. It's all right. It's allowed to overflow. Any of her teachers here? Are any of your teachers here? No? Okay, so I am actually going to pour the last, oh, we have, oh. Louder, louder.
I just want to say congratulations and thank you for being one of the best people that I know.
Oh, thank you. Okay, I am going to pour the last one in because Abby is now in her 14th year. And yes, it is overflowing, but that's okay because we're going to make sure it doesn't get on Abby's dress somehow. And because we want our cups to overflow with brachot, with blessings. So Abby, come say the Borei Pri Hagafen as carefully as you can. Here's napkins. Okay. Baruch. Amen. Okay. Wait. We're not done with you yet. We're almost done. Not yet. Okay. On behalf of Chabad of the Windsors, we have a gift for Abby, and that is her own candlestick. This is for you. And
Thank you.
You're welcome. And as far as I know, your father told me that it's okay, that you're already lighting candles, but now you can continue in this special candlestick and you can take it with you to Israel. Just, well, you're only supposed to light one. When you get married, you're going to light the second one.
What?
Yes. We didn't go over that part, I guess, in the lessons, but yes, when you get married, you're going to light the second one.
I see.
Okay, call me back. I'll get you the match. Okay, for it. Okay, but we're proud of you in all that you accomplished in becoming a bat mitzvah. You're a capable, delightful, happy young woman. Thank God, and you should continue to be so until 120, Bezrat Hashem, and hopefully continue to be a great student of the Torah as well. Now, this is for you.
Yeah.
Okay, you can put that on the table. Now, for the final part, we're going to take Rivka. Can you pass this around and give everybody a candy? We didn't put these on the table first because I was afraid you might eat them. So they're not for you to eat yet. But because we want the Torah, which is our guidebook from the Lashon of Horah, from the language of lesson, it should also be sweet. So now that she is responsible for the mitzvot from the Torah, the mitzvot and the Torah should be sweet for her. So to symbolize that, we're going to pelt her with candies. But there's only a certain kind of candies you can get. This is not a halachic thing. This is just so she doesn't get hit in the head or anywhere else. And thank God for Amazon, they deliver in 48 hours or 24 hours if you have Prime. So when I say go, you will throw those at Abby and then you can come and collect them. And then we are going to open up the room to the buffet. Okay, wait, we have to wait till everyone gets them. Okay, are we ready? Oh, wait, they didn't get. Okay, on the count of 3, and then you throw it and you have to say Mazal Tov. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Mazal Tov! Yay! Beautiful, beautiful job, Abby. Okay, everybody, you can come get something to eat in here. No, he's gonna do that, but what I want you to do is take all the prayer books and put them on the shelf before they eat. Thank you. Oh, you need the thing?
I don't know if I got the microphone on.
This mic is live now, and they can hear us.
Okay, if you're on the Zoom, we'd like to ask everyone to please turn on your cameras as Abby would like to chat with you live. Thank you. Once again, if you're on the Zoom, please turn on your cameras as Abby would like to speak to everybody live. Thank you. Okay, can you say that in Hebrew? Ima. That's it. Turn on all your screens, please. Okay. Can you say this in Hebrew for me, please? Tell them please turn on the cameras on their computers.
תדליקו את המצלמה. בבקשה.
מזל טוב, אבי. תדליקו בבקשה מצלמות שנוכל להגיד שלום לכולם. הנה, יש מצלמה, כולם עם מצלמה. מזל טוב, אבי. No, it's all good. אבי, come. היי ביאטה. היי ביאטה. שלום, שלום כולם. רגע, זה... חזר. this one?
תודה שבאתם.
רגע, הם לא רואים אותנו, אני חושבת.
זה בסדר.
טוב, אז נמשיך.
כן, תודה שבאתם.
מזל טוב, אבי.
אבי, בואי.
מזל טוב. תבואו אבל למצלמה, לא רואים אתכם.
לא רואים אתכם.
לא, יש כזה.
מזל טוב.
מזל טוב.
מזל טוב לכולם, לאביגיל.
מזל טוב. מזל טוב.
מתי אתם חוזרים?
רגע, ביאטה, את על מיוט, לא שומעים.
ביאטה, מתי אתם חוזרים?
רגע, הם על מיוט.
לא שומעים.
כי על מיוט אתם לא רואים.
אוקיי, עכשיו שומעים?
כן, מתי אתם חוזרים?
Tell them they can unmute themselves.
Oh yeah, that's okay. They can hear them.
Yes, you can unmute themselves.
תודה רבה כל מי שכאן איתנו. נשיקות.
מתי אתם חוזרים?
כן.
תודה לכולם, שמחתם שהייתם איתנו, שמח לי שהייתם איתנו.
מתי אתם חוזרים?
אתם במיוט.
פקה. אתם על מיוט.
אתם על מיוט, לא שומעים אתכם.
היי אייל וביאטה, זה טובה מירושלים. עשיתם טקס מקסים, שיהיה לכם הרבה מזל טוב וחזרה רכה לארץ, ונשמח לראותכם. חיבוק חזק, להתראות. ביי, אתם מקסימים.
Аби, мазаль топ. Мы любим тебя.
תוציאו את מיוט, מירה, כולם במיוט.
אתם על מיוט. ג'וש, אתם על מיוט, לא שומעים אתכם. לא שומעים אתכם.
אבי. אבי.
יאללה. הנה, עכשיו שומעים אתכם.
אביגיל, מזל טוב, יקרה שלנו.
מה?
מלכה שלנו, מזל טוב. Mira. Excuse me. Мира, вы все очень красивые.
Давай. Ирочка, Abigail, כולם, מזל טוב.
מזל טוב.
מזל טוב.
מזל טוב.
еще раз מזל טוב.
מזל טוב.
מזל טוב.
Будет через 4 часа. О, Господи.
Какие все красивые. Да? Красивые. 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 Мне что 55. Поэтому и они.
Okay.
Have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you for joining us for Abigail's Zoom Mitzvah. Bye-bye, everybody. Oh.
ביי ביי.
ביי ביי.
מחכים לכם בארץ.
נכון.
תודה לכולם, אנחנו עושים את זה. אתם שומעים אותי? מי ששומע אותי עדיין, אז תודה רבה לכל מי שהיה איתנו. שמחנו מאוד להיות איתכם, ונתראה בקרוב בירושלים הבנויה.
נתראה בגדול. ביי ביי, מזל טוב.
ביי ביי. אוקיי, thank you.
сколько это уже, то есть Йошуа היה בן 3 כשהם נסעו.